Thor, the Thunder Berserker, Zeus, the father of the cosmos, Poseidon, the most feared god, Heracles, the human who became a god, Shiva, the god of destruction, Zerofuku, the fusion of the lucky gods, Hajun, the demon lord, Buddha, the enlightened one, Hades, the reliable king, Beelzebub, the god of darkness, Apollo, the sun god, Susanoo, the god slayer, Loki, the one in love with Brunhilde, yeah, that's real, Anubis, the good doggy, Odin, the chief god and mastermind of Ragnarok, and many more outside of the original or updated fighter list. I'll first go over the ones not participating in the tournament officially that are kinda relevant and have some information in regards to how strong they are. First up, we have the two known primordial gods, Gaia, the personification of the earth, which wanted to defeat the Greek gods right after Zeus became the supreme god and took control of the Greek pantheon. This is of course from his father Kronos, who he defeated, leading the giants who she spawned and acclaimed as the mightiest race in the heavens into an all-out war against the Greeks, forcing I guess a prime Zeus to say, "We've got no choice but to pummel them with all our being." This situation also involved the previously defeated Titans to attack from the underworlds, with Hades dealing with all the Titans alone, while the other main Greek gods faced and defeated the giants. And out of these gods, the only one that seems to be damaged is Ares, and we didn't get to see Gaia fight herself, making it very hard to say how strong this primordial god is. However, its abilities when it comes to control or leading such an army is I guess very impressive, so she's definitely very strong, that's for sure. The other primordial god is known as Arki and is something connected to Odin's overall goal in the series and potentially the real purpose of the Ragnarok tournament, to revive this god, at least according to Beelzebub's findings. That also seems to be connected to Odin imprisoning the demigod Siegfried, who just happens to be the boyfriend of Brunhilde, meaning this primordial god is most likely greatly important for the future of the story, considering Odin's involvement, Siegfried's involvement, for all we know could be an all-powerful creature that may be number one, the strongest in the entire series. Additionally, we have Siegfried, a demigod who's very clearly very relevant to the plot, as it's currently Buddha's theory that Brunhilde mainly started the Ragnarok tournament for the release of him, and him having the lore that he stole Odin's sword and killed the dragon Fafnir sometime in the past as well. However, the main theory in the fandom currently is that the friend of Buddha, humanity's fighter Kintoki, will be involved in the release of Siegfried in kinda an escape attempt from Tartarus, which will result in Siegfried fighting for humanity in the tournament, perhaps against Odin or even against Arki in the future of the story. Who knows? Something for sure though is that he's definitely very strong. We also have the before mentioned father of Zeus, Hades, etc., Kronos, the embodiment of time that Zeus was able to defeat, someone who was regarded as the mightiest titan and respected by Zeus due to his strength and ability to use the fist that surpassed time, or perhaps the creator of this move that allowed him to do major damage to Zeus, an attack that had such impact on the father of the cosmos that he pretty much had to learn it himself, meaning our boy Kronos is definitely very overpowered, with the fist that surpassed time potentially being the most broken attack in all record of Ragnarok even to this day. We also have the other Greek gods who we've seen since the start, watching and talking about the fights. Ares is pretty much a joke who is confirmed weaker than a pre-Labor Hercules in power. Aphrodite hasn't done anything fighting wise, but was actually a fighter in the draft for the Record of Ragnarok story, which is pretty cool I guess. Adamas has a showing against these monsters of the underworld and getting shit on by Beelzebub and almost killed by Poseidon, but as a whole was fine facing the giants. Hermes is far more interesting than the others and seems like he's been up to something throughout the entire series, or at least in the early days he had a common fury surrounding him, being very knowledgeable of many techniques and abilities, Alongside showing excitement and wanting to fight Shiva after he revealed his dancing and unpredictable movement, I'm hoping he reveals his true strength later sometime in the story, and we did see him kinda enraged after the death of Poseidon. We also have some of the other Indian gods in the series, like Shiva's friend and pretty much all the others. However, all of them are confirmed weaker than the likes of Raiden. Some other gods we got in some flashbacks are the angels like Lucifer that we got revealed in Beelzebub's flashback. Technically Satan as well, as I'll explain later when I talk about Beelzebub. I should also mention the role of Jesus in Ragnarok for those of you who didn't know. His betrayal was as a human, part of the group known as the Sages, which also involved Buddha, and he was watching Buddha's fight. Didn't say anything in the story, just a few facial expressions here and there. That's everything we got in regards to Jesus. Technically speaking, we also have the god that created Adam in his own likeness, which is probably the Christian god, which does exist, but I don't think we're going to see it at any point. Now for the gods who are confirmed to be fighters in the tournament, but have yet to finish their turn. We have Susanoo, who's currently fighting Okita for round 10, and is regarded as the strongest god slayer and pretty much the god of swordsmanship. This is because he killed the evil gods of pretty much the Japanese realm of heaven. He also cucked Anubis from fighting with his Chad aura, which was pretty cool. However, his purpose in Ragnarok seems to be his want to fight Okita himself, the one he views as the best swordsman in human history, to most likely test himself, of course. Therefore, his power ranking will probably be based on Okita's placement in the broader story, as the one predicted by many people as the winner for this fight. However, I have high hopes for Susanoo's strength, and do think it's possible he's going to be pretty much a high tier god. Can't wait for the future of round 10. Anubis is a little wacky, but seems to be excited to fight, but we don't really know anything about him. I would say his reveal and personality has put him down, and the popularity and anticipation within the fandom. I still believe Rasputin's going to fight him and of course naturally destroy him. Loki on the other hand has done quite a bit throughout Ragnarok thus far, whether it be the main commentator during Adam vs Zeus, having aura comparisons with Zeus or alongside him, clashing with Buddha and confident in fighting that beast, also clashing with Okita Tsuji with his chained hooks like weapon that he can just spawn out of nowhere, and then the various moments of him transforming into other characters. He is the god of mischief and could be insanely strong considering the recent reveal that he's in love with Brynhilde. Perhaps Loki is the one who's going to face Siegfried in the future of the story. Personally, I hope not, and think he's going to be around mid tier. We'll have to wait and see. How strong do all you guys think Loki will be by the end of the story? Let me know down below. And the last remaining fighter in this section of the video, potentially the most important god, Odin, who may have been the real cause of the tournament occurring for, of course, his own goal. He's a chief god of the Norse pantheon and had recently revealed his weapon to attack Buddha and clashed with Beelzebub as well, revealing this menacing and insane smile after Beelzebub revealed his plan, most likely planning to kill both Buddha and Beelzebub now. So him being the strongest or top 5 is pretty much a given at this point. I can't wait for more reveals regarding this exchange and what's going on with this primordial god, and we'll be covering this on the channel, so stay tuned. But now it's time to go over the ranking for the gods that have participated in the tournament already. Zerofuku is the weakest with everything considered. Even at a narrative level, when you consider his role in the story, I would say his weapon is the only thing he has going for him. The Misery Cleaver, which absorbs misery from Zero to grow stronger, getting to a point in his fight with Buddha that it became this giant weapon that pretty much had an arena-sized attack. However, take note, it could not break through Buddha's shield transformation, or really made Buddha struggle at all. It also has the ability to transform into other weapons like the ones on screen now, that didn't really do anything of note, leading into what I believe is his best attack, the Storm transformation or move that pretty much tracks the target with high speed that was demonstrated. But again, this was dealt with by Buddha without much trouble, just cutting straight through it. I guess misfortune is exactly what we got with Zero. Hercules is up next and has two key attributes that really makes him strong. His demonstrated power with the labors, destroying various parts of London that had actually been turned into a divine weapon technically, with some having impressive range and area of effect aspects. His willpower is also quite insane, but most fighters typically share this trait. On a narrative level, the best thing we have for him is Zeus selecting him as the fighter after the defeat of Poseidon, for the purpose of a guaranteed victory or revenge for the Greek gods, something that required Brunhilde to prepare Jack before the tournament as a counter for Hercules himself. But that's really it. His transformation is cool, but doesn't have a particular hacks that gives him a reason to go higher. Maybe if we get a spin-off of him learning all of the 12 labors or demonstrating them, he'll be revealed as much stronger with better abilities, but we did not get any of that in his fight in the series. Hajun, or Papias in the anime version, is a little weird to talk about. He's regarded as a demon lord, so perhaps he isn't technically a god. He did fight for him, so I guess it doesn't matter. His abilities include transforming his body into various offensive and defensive based forms that are technically very strong. For example, he was able to pierce through Buddha's shield transformation with the intention to also one-shot with this attack, missing due to Buddha's dodge but still taking out one of his eyes, getting Hades to actually claim that Hajun's strength is on a magnitude that many gods can't even hold a candle to, connecting this to the lore about him being a monster that destroyed half of Helheim before Hades was the ruler, also destroying Buddha's divine weapon later in the fight when he turned his arm into this blade, a feat many fighters have done in Ragnarok, but still very impressive and important to mention for I guess the AP scaling within the verse. When it comes to defensive means, he may have something that could be considered one of the best in the verse. Buddha was unleashing one of his most powerful attacks that had Hades thinking Buddha would end it with a single blow, and then Hajun just outright blocked it. Yes, the blade went a little deep in his arm, but should still be highlighted as an impressive durability feat, something we don't get too much in Ragnarok. Buddha was also forced to unleash a pretty wild attack to actually defeat Hajun in the end. Apart from that, Gold claimed that his speed is insane, but that's really it. He doesn't have a particular broken move or ability that gives him reason to go higher in my opinion. Also on a narrative level, he considers Zero pretty much nothing to himself, but Hajun was just an experiment by Beelzebub to create something strong enough to kill him, which very clearly failed. He was also a natural counter to Buddha's most overpowered ability, an advantage that inflated his perceived strength in the fandom. Hades comes in next and has the possibility to go higher depending on various factors that I of course will go over now. He is a head god and king of the underworld, with others considering him the most reliable god. This occurred after the situation explained at the start of the video about Gaia. Hades dealt with and defeated the Titans alone, while the other Greek gods faced the giants, a feat that resulted in even Poseidon to respect him. The most impressive aspect of Hades seemed to be his raw strength and being a monster of experience and intelligence. This is because he seems to be the only one following what Buddha did to defeat Hajun, not having the same shock as all the other gods here. And then when it was revealed that he's fighting next, we had the immensely hyped up human Nostradamus claim it looks like the gods are going all out, and then during his fight, Beelzebub had absolute faith in Hades winning, thinking it's crazy to believe he would actually lose, which connects to Hades defeating Beelzebub in the past and actually giving him this OP divine weapon. However, Hades defeating him in this situation does not mean he's stronger by any means. I've explained this many times. All of his attacks seem to be insanely strong and even fast, so much so that the wind created by his thrust also do major damage, being capable of piercing clean through a divine weapon that had all the gods respecting Hades' strength. Pause the video and have a read of all the reactions here. And on top of that, his transformation I guess also increases this strength. However, he did lose in the end, but you could say this was due to being countered by the king's abilities and getting unlucky that his weapon was alive in the final exchanges, allowing Huang to use his OP ability to defeat Hades in this crazy way. However, with all of this said, he doesn't have any particular hacks or OP ability that would guarantee his win in a lot of scenarios or give him a better argument. and even considers the likes of Poseidon the most worthy god to get the title of king, even over himself. Shiva tends to get a little toxic to talk about for various reasons, as many of you probably already know, but he has a few good things going for him. First, being known as the mightiest god of destruction in all the heavens, with some using this to argue he is in fact the strongest in the series. This is in combination with him being heaven's greatest brawler, a chief god, not being impressed by the fist that surpassed time, and the lore about his Tandava karma transformation, pretty much destroying and recreating the world. Additionally, his dancing based movement is considered unpredictable, and when transformed, he does this burning based damage to his opponent as well. However, the biggest issue with ranking him higher is his overall performance against Raiden, who doesn't have the best arguments for being that high in the power ranking for Record of Ragnarok, and overall the fighters above having better abilities or means to win a fight. Poseidon has remained as a top tier god regardless of being the first defeated on the god side. On a narrative level, he's compared to Zeus multiple times, being considered the most godly god, the most feared god, which definitely has something to do with his strength. Most people who argue for Poseidon being top tier use his speed that was visually represented in the series, which literally has him being so fast his after images create a dome, and showed battle experience good enough that he read Sasaki's reaction and got into his blind spot regardless of Sasaki's predictions at that point, also having the strength to break a divine weapon on top of this speed. If his personality was different, he probably could have won the fight at any point outside of the end when Sasaki got that huge buff. Perhaps if he revealed more of his abilities as well, but that's really all we have there to mention about Poseidon. I did a full video breaking down a fight with him and Hades, which explains this ranking more in detail, and of course a video going over the Greek gods ranked as well. Apollo is next and has quite a few broken abilities and good narrative statements. This includes Zeus claiming he's strong and that he won't lose to anyone, and that his strength is something that transcends logic and common sense. His abilities include the Threads of Artemis, that is pretty much light energy that can be used to block attacks, transform into stuff like these boxing gloves, bind his opponent easily to land more attacks, and his ultimate move that is the main reason for him being placed here, the summoning of his Moonlight Bow that has light speed arrows that can easily pierce through Leonidas and the arena itself, that had Zeus claim it's a technique only he can stop in the divine realm, with the ability to also use himself as the arrow and land an attack strong enough to break through history's strongest shield and be the fastest hit in the divine realm according to Hermes. That is a lot of things, not even mentioning how Apollo is just goated himself, being a god who trains continuously to get stronger, pushing himself to become a god of many things, which includes boxing, that is represented with his monster-like footwork and crazy OP hand-to-hand combat. If you don't think Apollo is top tier for all this, we definitely have some issues to sort out. Thor still has an unknown factor, but for what we do know, he's definitely top tier without a doubt. He's known as Nordric's strongest god, and that statement will just help Thor's arguments as we learn more and see what Odin and Loki are truly capable of, with Odin of course having that insane narrative with him. His hammer is considered the strongest of the divine, capable of shattering earth, and the weapon itself isn't what's truly strong. Thor himself is that guy. He also may have a little showing of actually using the element of electricity here, something I wish we got more in Ragnarok. He has some speed showings in the fight, and also he teleported into the arena in the anime version, which I guess was pretty cool. I'm sure we'll learn more about the true extent of his abilities in the future of the story, which will probably provide more reasons for him at least being placed here. Buddha is a god some rate as number 1 the strongest, and others on the much lower end, always leading into many fights, with there being some kind of valid arguments for each side. His rank 3 placement in this video is due to his pure enlightenment 8 consciousness ability, known as future vision, which technically isn't just looking into the future. He sees fluctuations of the soul in a way where he always sees what someone is going to do next, as the soul moves before the physical body, The scale of this is claimed as a moment which could be in the range of 1 to 5 seconds. This in combination with a variety of weapons that can transform on their own based on his emotion or needs in a moment, of course very useful, but the peak of Buddha's power for me is when he fused with Zero or used Zero as his divine weapon, something claimed as the ultimate divine weapon, and does relate to Buddha's abilities hinted at earlier in the story. Even now in his exchange with Odin, we have showings of the power of his future vision, allowing him to avoid Odin's blow. But when it comes to more showings, especially power-wise in the future story, who knows, as it doesn't have a divine weapon currently. So you could say Buddha's ranking depends on what version of him you actually use for the ranking. So it's a little hard to really definitively say, but definitely on the higher range, that's for sure. Beelzebub is insanely busted with his abilities and showing so far in Ragnarok. His base power is vibrations that are confirmed as durability negating, meaning it doesn't matter how durable you are or how much defense you have, he can cut or slice through you, also casually doing this with his ability. As we know, the base version of Beelzebub, while weakened, lost against Hades, but then Beelzebub was given the Staff of Olympus that amplifies Beelzebub's powers by an insane amount, resulting in an insanely OP attack that should go through any god, as we see it overpower Tesla's twin punch, with already one of these single punches being labelled as a one-shot, and then his shield, which is by far the strongest in the entire story, claimed in some translations as strong enough to repel Thor's hammer. He has the sharpest spear and mightiest shield in short, but it doesn't stop there. Beelzebub has an attack known as Chaos, which has the ability to pretty much win any matchup in the series. Beelzebub explodes with dense vibrations that covers pretty much the entire arena and does major damage inside his opponent's body. This is with a single touch of it, as Tesla tried offsetting the blast and still fell victim to major damage. Then Beelzebub also has insane reaction or adaptation. He was able to deal with Tesla teleporting, even during the Gigabrain strategy of teleporting one of his arms for an undodgeable attack, which Beelzebub just outright dealt with and finished Tesla. Then even on a narrative level, he was able to clash with Odin, and most likely will continue to do so in the future of the story. And then his whole flashback was mainly dedicated to revealing that Beelzebub is actually Satan himself, with us not seeing this side of him during his fight, having the possibility of being expanded on in the future of the story. Now Zeus, he remains as the number one, the strongest god in the series, which is very fitting for the supreme god, having insanely fast casual attacks, the immensely broken fist that surpass time, that may be more than regular time stop, that he also has the ability to spam when transformed into his Adama state, which may also include attacks considered as one-shots and undodgeable, once again depending on translation. It's claimed that while fresh, he can stay in this broken form up to 13 minutes, and even has lore that he survived the Big Bang. Zeus may be the second fighter in the series, but is still considered the strongest by many people, and I agree. And that is the ranking. Some aspects can of course change as we learn more in the future of the story, with more spin-off mangas potentially coming out. And if a god is ranked higher than another, it does not mean they cannot defeat him in a match, as a lot of the fights in Record of Ragnarok are very situational based on counters, etc. Just as a whole, who I believe is stronger considering every ability and what they showed in the story. Make sure to check out my video ranking all the human fighters, which does add a lot more context to the ranking in this video as well, vice versa. And of course, shout out to these mad lads. That's it guys, peace.